Imagine this. The Philippines, facing mounting geopolitical tensions, is forced to stand alone without the support of its longtime allies. Could the nation, with its current military strength, defend its sovereignty against external threats? This is the question on the minds of many as the world changes and conflict looms. Today, we're diving deep into the state of the Philippine military, exploring its past, present, and future, ultimately asking how the country can build a defense system strong enough to stand on its own. Let's start by looking back. In the pre-colonial era, the Philippines was a collection of small kingdoms, tribes, and sultanates. Back then, military power came in the form of local warriors skilled in traditional martial arts and naval tactics. There was no unified national military as we know it today. Each community had to fend for itself. But this structure would change when Spain arrived in 1521. The Spanish colonizers quickly took control of the archipelago, establishing their own military forces, though they relied heavily on Filipino auxiliaries to fend off external threats, especially from Muslim pirates and occasional foreign invaders. Fast forward to the Philippine Revolution in 1896, the country's first attempt at forming a military capable of securing independence. Leaders like Emilio Aguinaldo led the charge, and for a brief moment in 1898, the Philippines declared itself free. However, with the Spanish-American War and the subsequent handover of the Philippines to the United States, the country once again fell under foreign control. Under American rule, the Philippines played a key role in the Pacific theater of World War II. The Philippine Commonwealth Army, alongside U.S. forces, fought to defend the islands from the Japanese invasion. But it wasn't enough to prevent the brutal occupation. Resistance came in the form of guerrilla warfare, and with the eventual return of American forces, the Philippines was liberated. After the war, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, was officially established, but the military remained heavily reliant on American aid and training. Now, decades after independence in 1946, the Philippines finds itself in a familiar position, relying on a key ally, the United States, to provide much of its defense support. Through the Mutual Defense Treaty of 1951, the United States pledged to come to the Philippines' aid in the event of an external attack. This relationship, while beneficial, has also created a dependency, particularly when it comes to acquiring military equipment and expertise. The question now is, can the Philippines break free from this reliance? According to United Nations and NATO standards, countries are encouraged to allocate around 2% of their GDP to defense spending. For the Philippines, this would mean investing over 534 billion Philippine pesos into its military, based on a GDP of 26.55 trillion Philippine pesos projected for 2024. Yet the current defense budget is just over 282 billion Philippine pesos, far short of the ideal target. This shortfall places the Philippines in a precarious position, especially given the increasing military spending of its neighbors in the Indo-Pacific region. Take Vietnam, for instance. With rising tensions in the South China Sea, Vietnam has aggressively modernized its naval and air forces, acquiring advanced fighter jets and submarines. Even Indonesia, another regional power, has been boosting its military with a focus on securing its vast archipelago. Meanwhile, the Philippines' modernization program, while a step in the right direction, still lags behind. Despite some notable acquisitions, like the Jose Rizal-class frigates and the BrahMos cruise missiles, the Philippines' military capability remains limited. These assets are important, but the country is still outmatched by its larger and more technologically advanced neighbors. The Philippine Navy, for example, is one of the oldest in the region, and while efforts are being made to modernize, the Navy currently lacks submarines and adequate surface warfare capabilities. So, where does that leave the country today? Is it possible for the Philippines to develop a self-sufficient defense strategy? The answer, as it stands, is no. The Philippines is not yet ready to defend itself against external threats without external help. This doesn't mean that the nation is incapable of standing on its own in the future, but it highlights the urgent need for a comprehensive and accelerated modernization plan. In the next decade, the Philippines must focus on key areas to build a more formidable defense force. First, increasing defense spending is crucial. While it may be challenging given the country's economic constraints, finding ways to reach that 2% of GDP target is necessary. This can be achieved by reallocating resources and ensuring that defense modernization is prioritized in the national budget. Second, the country needs to invest in domestic defense manufacturing. Countries like South Korea and Singapore have developed robust domestic arms industries, allowing them to reduce dependency on foreign suppliers. For the Philippines, investing in industries that can manufacture small arms, ships, and possibly drones would be a critical step towards self-reliance. Third, modernizing military training and tactics is essential. The AFP needs to focus on upgrading its personnel's training, particularly in cyber warfare, missile defense, and modern naval and air tactics. Developing local defense universities and training institutions to match global standards will help. Fourth, the Philippines should strengthen its alliances with regional partners. While moving away from reliance on the U.S., building stronger defense partnerships with ASEAN countries can provide strategic support. Joint military exercises and intelligence sharing will help create a stronger collective defense network in the region. Finally, Coast Guard and maritime defense should be prioritized. The Philippines is a maritime nation with over 7,000 islands, and much of its defense needs are tied to protecting its territorial waters. Improving the Philippine Coast Guard's capabilities and investing in a modern naval fleet will help secure the country's waters, especially in disputed areas like the West Philippine Sea. In conclusion, while the Philippine military has made strides toward modernization, the country still faces significant challenges. Without increasing defense spending, building a domestic defense industry, and enhancing military training, the Philippines will continue to rely on external allies like the United States. But with the right strategy and investment, the country can build a self-sufficient military capable of defending its sovereignty. The future is uncertain, and the time to act is now, especially as global tensions rise. The question is, can the Philippines ramp up its defense fast enough before another global conflict emerges? Thank you for joining us today. If you found this deep dive insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to OHA News Asia for more updates on the Indo-Pacific and defense issues. Let us know in the comments. How do you think the Philippines should move forward in strengthening its defense capabilities? We'll see you next time on OHA News Asia.